Critique of Maslow. Maslow's search for the self-actualizing person did not end with his empirical studies. In his later years, he would frequently speculate about self-actualization with little evidence to support his suppositions. Although this practice opens the door for criticizing Maslow, he was unconcerned about desacralized, or orthodox, science. Nevertheless, we use the same criteria to evaluate holistic dynamic personality theory as we do with the other theories. First, how does Maslow's theory rate on its ability to generate research? On this criterion, we rate Maslow's theory a little above average. Self-actualization remains a popular topic with researchers, and the tests of self-actualization have facilitated efforts to investigate this elusive concept. However, Maslow's notions about metamotivation, the hierarchy of needs, the Jonah complex, and instinctoid needs have received less research interest. On the criterion of falsifiability, we must rate Maslow's theory low. Researchers remained handicapped in their ability to falsify or confirm Maslow's means of identifying self-actualizing people. Maslow said that his self-actualizing people refused to take any tests that might assess self-actualization. If this is true, then the various inventories that purport to measure self-actualization may be incapable of identifying the truly self-actualizing person. However, if researchers wish to follow Maslow's lead and use personal interviews, they will have few guidelines to direct them. Because Maslow failed to provide an operational definition of self-actualization and a full description of his sampling procedures, researchers cannot be certain that they are replicating Maslow's original study or that they are identifying the same syndrome of self-actualization. Maslow left future researchers with few clear guidelines to follow when attempting to replicate his studies on self-actualization. Lacking operational definitions of most of Maslow's concepts, researchers are able to neither verify nor falsify much of his basic theory. Nevertheless, Maslow's hierarchy of needs framework gives his theory excellent flexibility to organize what is known about human behavior. Maslow's theory is also quite consistent with common sense. For example, common sense suggests that a person must have enough to eat before being motivated by other matters. Starving people care little about political philosophy. Their primary motivation is to obtain food, not to sympathize with one political philosophy or another. Similarly, people living under threat to their physical well-being will be motivated mostly to secure safety, and people who have physiological and safety needs relatively satisfied will strive to be accepted and to establish a love relationship. Does Maslow's theory serve as a guide to the practitioner? On this criterion, we rate the theory as highly useful. For example, psychotherapists who have clients with threatened safety needs must provide a safe and secure environment for those clients. Once clients have satisfied their safety needs, the therapist can work to provide them with feelings of love and belongingness. Likewise, personnel managers in business and industry can use Maslow's theory to motivate workers. The theory suggests that increases in pay cannot satisfy any needs beyond the physiological and safety levels. Because physiological and safety needs are already largely gratified for the average worker in the United States, wage increases per section will not permanently increase worker morale and productivity. Pay raises can satisfy higher-level needs only when workers see them as recognition for a job well done. Maslow's theory suggests that business executives should allow workers more responsibility and freedom, tap into their ingenuity and creativity in solving problems, and encourage them to use their intelligence and imagination on the job. Is the theory internally consistent? Unfortunately, Maslow's arcane and often unclear language makes important parts of his theory ambiguous and inconsistent. Apart from the problem of idiosyncratic language, however, Maslow's theory ranks high on the criterion of internal consistency. The hierarchy of needs concept follows a logical progression, and Maslow hypothesized that the order of needs is the same for everyone, although he does not overlook the possibility of certain reversals. Aside from some deficiencies in his scientific methods, Maslow's theory has a consistency and precision that give it popular appeal. Is Maslow's theory parsimonious, or does it contain superfluous fabricated concepts and models? At first glance, the theory seems quite simplistic. A hierarchy of needs model with only 5 steps gives the theory a deceptive appearance of simplicity. A full understanding of Maslow's total theory, however, suggests a far more complex model. Overall, the theory is moderately parsimonious. Concept of humanity. Maslow believed that all of us can be self-actualizing. Our human nature carries with it a tremendous potential for being a good human being. If we have not yet reached this high level of functioning, it is because we are in some manner crippled or pathological. We fail to satisfy our self-actualization needs when our lower level needs become blocked, that is, when we cannot satisfy our needs for food safety, love and belongingness, and esteem. This insight led Maslow to postulate a hierarchy of basic needs that must be regularly satisfied before we become fully human. Maslow concluded that true human nature is seen only in self-actualized people, and that there seems no intrinsic reason why everyone should not be this way. Apparently, every baby has possibilities for self-actualization, but most get it knocked out of them. In other words, self-actualizing people are not ordinary people with something added, but rather as ordinary people with nothing taken away. That is, if food, safety, love, and esteem are not taken away from people, then those people will move naturally towards self-actualization. Maslow was generally optimistic and hopeful about humans, but he recognized that people are capable of great evil and destruction. Evil, however, stems from the frustration or thwarting of basic needs, not from the essential nature of people. When basic needs are not met, people may steal, cheat, lie, or kill. Maslow believed that society, as well as individuals, can be improved, but growth for both is slow and painful. Nevertheless, these small forward steps seem to be part of humanity's evolutionary history. Unfortunately, most people are doomed to wish for what they do not have. In other words, although all people have the potential for self-actualization, most will live out their lives struggling for food, safety, or love. Most societies, Maslow believed, emphasize these lower-level needs and base their educational and political systems on an invalid concept of humanity. Truth, love, beauty, and the like are instinctoid and are just as basic to human nature as are hunger, sex, and aggression. All people have the potential to strive towards self-actualization, just as they have the motivation to seek food and protection. Because Maslow held that basic needs are structured the same for all people and that people satisfy these needs at their own rate, his holistic dynamic theory of personality places moderate emphasis on both uniqueness and similarities. From both a historical and an individual point of view, humans are an evolutionary animal, in the process of becoming more and more fully human. That is, as evolution progresses, humans gradually become more motivated by metamotivations and by the B values. High-level needs exist, at least as potentiality, in everyone. Because people aim towards self-actualization, Maslow's view can be considered teleological and purposive. Maslow's view of humanity is difficult to classify on such dimensions as determinism versus free choice, conscious versus unconscious, or biological versus social determinants of personality. In general, the behavior of people motivated by physiological and safety needs is determined by outside forces, whereas the behavior of self-actualizing people is at least partially shaped by free choice. On the dimension of consciousness versus unconsciousness, Maslow held that self-actualizing people are ordinarily more aware than others of what they are doing and why. However, motivation is so complex that people may be driven by several needs at the same time, and even healthy people are not always fully aware of all the reasons underlying their behavior. As for biological versus social influences, Maslow would have insisted that this dichotomy is a false one. Individuals are shaped by both biology and society, and the two cannot be separated. Inadequate genetic endowment does not condemn a person to an unfulfilled life, just as a poor social environment does not preclude growth. When people achieve self-actualization, they experience a wonderful synergy among the biological, social, and spiritual aspects of their lives. Self-actualizers receive more physical enjoyment from the sensuous pleasures, they experience deeper and richer interpersonal relationships, and they receive pleasure from spiritual qualities such as beauty, truth, goodness, justice,